The Rock is the fakest celebrity in Hollywood.
I can tell you with a little bit of uncertainty because I failed math, I was probably at that time ingesting about anywhere between 6 to, well, I would say possible, almost 8,000 calories a day.
I can tell you there is no way The Rock burns off enough calories to average 6,000 to 8,000 calories a day and look like this. If he actually ate those kind of calories, 6,000 to 8,000 a day, he would be 100 pounds overweight. There is no way he eats this much.
The Rock is not natural, okay? The Rock, he's not a patient of mine, so I don't worry about getting sued.
We're going to be talking about what steroid cycle I think The Rock uses.
Once upon a time, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was untouchable. Hollywood's golden hero with that $1 million grin and an underdog story straight out of a movie. From being the wrestler everyone booed with chants of "Die Rocky Die" to dominating the box office with billion-dollar hits, he built himself into the ultimate success symbol. His hustle, charm, and that brand with over 400 million followers made producers chase him like he was the secret to box office magic. Fans couldn't get enough of his motivational speeches and shiny smile. He was the internet's favorite example of hard work paying off. But now, that picture-perfect image is cracking faster than one of his action movie explosions. Ever since the Black Adam disaster, the man who once looked unstoppable has been catching losses, left and right. Behind the scenes, people whisper about his ego, the way he allegedly played Henry Cavill like a pawn just to boost his own project. Reports even claim he'd stroll onto set 7 or 8 hours late every day, like everyone else's time didn't matter. And then came the wild pee bottle scandal that made fans go, "Wait, what?" Suddenly, the hero everyone cheered for is starting to look more like a self-absorbed brand gone rogue. So, what happens when a man forgets he's flesh and blood and turns himself into a brand with a price tag built on views, merch, and movie deals? Dwayne Johnson's rise didn't start with red carpets or fame. It began in the struggle. He was just a broke kid from Hawaii, getting into fights, getting arrested, and chasing dreams that kept slipping away. His shot at football ended in heartbreak when the Calgary Stampeders cut him loose, leaving him with only $7 to his name. The same 7 that would later spark $7 Productions. That crushing moment could have ended him, but instead, it flipped a switch. He took all that pain and built a legend out of it. In the WWE, he started as Rocky Maivia, a smiling rookie who got booed out of the ring. Fans didn't buy it. But then he reinvented himself into The Rock, a slick-talking villain who spoke in third person, roasted everyone in sight, and had entire arenas screaming his name. He didn't just survive the villain label. He owned it and turned it into superstardom. He became the most electrifying superstar the world had ever seen. Fans worshipped him like a legend in real time. That cocky swagger, that smirk, that unstoppable energy, it wasn't an act, it was The Rock. He turned arrogance into art, making every insult, eyebrow raise, and catchphrase feel like magic. He had fans chanting his name louder than any concert crowd ever could.
There's not a chance in hell he's clean.
No.
Not a chance in hell. As big as The Rock is, at 50, he's so massive, and he's so different than he was when he was 30.
Then came the next level, Hollywood. And once again, Dwayne flipped the script. He went from the lovable musclehead in The Game Plan and Tooth Fairy to the iron-built action powerhouse we know today. But that transformation wasn't just about muscles. It was strategy. Those early box office flops taught him that image sells, so he built one from scratch, and the payoff was huge. While other wrestlers turned actors felt like jokes, The Rock came across as real, cracking jokes on Instagram, surprising fans at events, and throwing himself into charity projects that melted hearts. And behind that charm, a fortress called $7 Productions, his empire of control. Every move, every movie, every partnership, carefully planned to keep him on top and untouchable. Pumping out 2 or 3 blockbusters every year, The Rock turned Hollywood into his personal playground. He wasn't just acting, he was calling the shots, writing his own scripts, locking down lifetime rights, and skipping auditions like he was above the system. Every deal was designed for control, not creativity. He brought life back to dying franchises like Fast 5 when Fast and Furious was running on fumes, and Jumanji, where he sold fans the dream of nostalgia mixed with Gen Z flavor, and people bought it. But here's the twist. The Rock's empire ran on one rule: money first, art later. He became a one-man movie machine, pumping out feel-good blockbusters that all followed the same formula. The Rock saves the world, again, Sure, it was profitable, but where was the depth? His mantra, I've got a bond with the audience. They'll watch my movies and feel good. Sounded heartfelt, but it was really a shield, a clever way to avoid risky or emotional roles that might challenge him. He played it safe, always smiling, always polished, never controversial. The industry saw him as the ultimate good guy, a guaranteed box office win. But beneath that spotless image, the creativity was gone. But now, that megawatt smile is starting to look more like a mask. Fans are finally seeing the strategy behind the charm. What once felt like sincerity now feels scripted, like every move is part of a master plan to keep his image spotless. The first real crack in The Rock's perfect armor showed up when people started questioning his superhuman physique. At 50 years old, staying that shredded isn't just impressive, it's nearly impossible, especially when he's openly talked about his heart issues in the past. Then came the numbers. 17 pounds of pure lean muscle gained in just 2 years. Even seasoned bodybuilders called it unnatural, saying that at his level, gains like that just don't happen without help. And Joe Rogan, he didn't hold back at all. He straight up called The Rock out on his podcast, saying it's time to come clean, a statement that sent shockwaves through fans who once thought their hero was all natural. Around that same time, the internet was exploding with steroid scandals. Remember Liver King getting dragged for lying about being all natural? That's when whispers started flying about The Rock too. Fitness insiders were saying, come on, he's probably juicing. The issue wasn't the steroids themselves. Hollywood's been using that trick for decades. It was the denial. The Rock brushed it all off, claiming he only tried steroids at 18, acting like his fans were clueless enough to buy it. If he'd just come clean, people might have respected him even more. Look at Zac Efron or Christian Bale. They admitted the pressure, the pain, the truth. But The Rock, he boxed himself in by building an entire empire around health, fitness, and discipline.
This is the third time he's done it. He keeps pretending that he's trying In and Out for the first time every couple of years. The other two videos are still on your Instagram page.
If he admitted anything now, it'd be like confessing to misleading millions of people who looked up to his real results. Fans felt betrayed, angry. They started seeing him less as an icon and more as a walking advertisement selling the illusion of perfection. And just when the heat was on, the cracks got wider. Remember when he hyped up that In-N-Out burger moment, acting like it was his first cheat meal in years? Yeah, fans pulled the receipts. Turns out he'd been eating there multiple times before. Not once, not twice, 3 times. Every cheat day reveal now looks staged. Every story feels rehearsed, and that authenticity he once owned, it's slipping fast. That one lie shattered his relatable giant image into pieces. Fans finally realized that almost everything, the Instagram posts, the motivational speeches, the so-called personal stories, were just carefully written scripts. Social media exploded with disappointment, and longtime followers felt straight up betrayed. Comments flooded in like, he's just a walking advertisement now, and people started clowning him for selling inspiration instead of living it. But instead of owning up, The Rock did what big stars do when the pressure hits. He doubled down. No apology, no explanation, just more glossy posts from his PR team, packed with smiles, gym clips, and stay positive quotes. But the internet wasn't buying it anymore. The backlash hit like a tidal wave. Thousands of comments roasting him, memes mocking his fake positivity, and fans tearing down the authentic persona he spent years building. Then came the knockout punch, the Maui charity scandal. When The Rock teamed up with Oprah, both billionaires asking regular people to donate to wildfire victims instead of digging into their own massive pockets.
When we first launched the fund, there was some backlash, and I want to address and acknowledge that backlash right now. And here's what I have to say about that. I get it, and I completely understand. And
It
I could have been
backfired
better.
instantly. The outrage was volcanic. Fans felt insulted, angry, and done with his tone-deaf, we're all in this together act. The fallout was brutal. A total collapse of trust from fans who once saw him as the people's champion. The very same folks who used to cheer for him were now calling him out. Hard. On social media, especially across Hawaii, comments poured in like, he's got hundreds of millions. Why is he asking us for money? The anger wasn't quiet. It was loud, raw, and relentless. With the backlash hitting harder than any wrestling move he'd ever thrown, The Rock had no choice but to face the music. He finally swallowed his pride and issued a public apology, trying to calm the storm that had already torn his once perfect reputation apart. But that apology landed flat. Way too little, way too late. It felt scripted, Cold, like a desperate move to save face instead of a genuine "I messed up." The damage was already done, and the internet wasn't forgiving this time. His credibility took a nosedive. Every post he made on X got flooded with dislikes and brutal comments tearing him apart. The Rock, once seen as humble and grounded, now looked untouchable in all the wrong ways. And then came Black Adam, the project that marked the peak of his ego. The movie was hyped like it was going to rewrite history. Massive posters, dramatic trailers, and of course, The Rock, repeating that one line over and over. The hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change forever. He wasn't just promoting a movie, he was promoting himself as the savior of DC. Fans, especially comic book lovers, were ready for a gritty, layered anti-hero. Something dark, something different. But when the movie finally hit theaters, the reality hit harder than a punch from The Rock himself. It was flat, predictable, and painfully shallow. The audience didn't get the fierce legend they were promised. They got a vanity project wrapped in CGI and self-promotion. Critics tore Black Adam to absolute pieces. Reviews called it a lifeless, overblown action mess with paper-thin writing and zero emotional punch. The character that showed up on screen wasn't the ruthless, layered anti-hero from the comics. It was just The Rock playing The Rock. Buff, indestructible, emotionless, not a single scar, not a single ounce of vulnerability. That so-called invincibility killed any sense of tension or real storytelling the movie could have had. But then came the bombshell, the truth behind the failure. Word got out about a no-lose clause buried in The Rock's contract. The terms? His character could never lose, never cry, never look weak, and definitely never do anything weird.
Called Desert Sand. It's a badass color, never seen before on the market in a training shoe. And I just realized you just saw my big bottle of pee.
Basically, Black Adam had to stay shiny, perfect, and larger than life, even if it made no sense. That ego-driven demand turned the movie from a potential masterpiece into a vanity parade. For a character who was supposed to embody tragedy and moral conflict, The Rock stripped away everything that made Black Adam human. The film wasn't about storytelling anymore. It was about protecting Dwayne Johnson's image, even if it meant throwing DC's legacy straight out the window. Fans weren't fooled for a second. Social media blew up with sarcasm and roasting memes. People were asking, wait, his contract says he can't lose, can't cry, can't do anything weird, so why even bother writing a script? That ridiculous clause ripped all depth out of Black Adam, leaving a soulless, over-muscled black Superman with zero heart or stakes. But The Rock didn't just ruin a character, he bulldozed the studio's plans too. Warner Brothers wanted a crossover with Shazam, staying true to the comics where the two are sworn enemies. Nope, The Rock shut that down, demanding a solo film. And then he went even further rogue, sneaking Henry Cavill back as Superman in a post-credits scene. His master plan? Make Black Adam the centerpiece of the entire DC universe, setting up a multi-year saga where he faced off against Superman. This wasn't ambition, it was ego on full display, trampling over both the studio and decades of comic book lore. When Black Adam finally hit theaters, the fallout was brutal. The film barely made $393 million against its colossal $260 million budget, leaving fans disappointed and the studio scrambling. What should have been a legacy-defining hit became a cautionary tale of one star's ego overpowering storytelling. Then came the fake profit stunt, one of the most shameless PR moves in Hollywood history. Instead of admitting that Black Adam likely suffered an estimated $100 million loss, The Rock and his team leaked fake numbers to Deadline, claiming the film made an impossible $5,272 million. The goal was obvious: save face and keep the illusion of success alive. But fans weren't buying it. They roasted him mercilessly online. "I smell what The Rock is cooking, and it's burnt to a crisp," became the rallying cry of disappointed audiences everywhere. The real knockout punch? The Superman maneuver. The Rock dragged Henry Cavill back for a post-credits cameo, hyping fans with dreams of a long-term return and a multi-year showdown. But less than 2 months later, Cavill was out when James Gunn and Peter Safran took over DC Studios. That spark of hope completely snuffed out. Fans turned their fury on The Rock, blaming his ego-driven ambition for throwing the entire DC universe into chaos. One savage comment summed it up perfectly. He really did change the hierarchy of power and replaced everyone, including himself. In the end, Black Adam didn't kick off a new era. It became a textbook example of a superstar letting arrogance destroy a franchise. Comic book fans who had hoped for a dark, complex anti-hero were left with nothing but disappointment and betrayal. What they saw wasn't Black Adam, it was The Rock in a cape, turning the DC universe into his personal stage. And if Black Adam proved The Rock could hijack a cinematic empire, Red One exposed another ugly truth behind the megastar sheen. He's unprofessional, reckless, and capable of massive damage to any project he touches. Dodging controversial topics and backtracking on his Biden support during the Joe Rogan Experience got him called out by Patrick B. David. Fans aren't fooled. Neutrality won't get anyone to the White House. Every move The Rock makes now screams fear of backlash, turning him into a beige, watered-down version of himself with all the personality stripped away. The Rock's legacy has shifted into a cautionary tale. He traded authenticity for a walking billboard persona, manipulating his clout for personal gain, exploiting the trust of fans and colleagues like Henry Cavill and Cody Rhodes, and proving his unprofessional streak through scandals that should never have happened. Fans who once cheered for him are now roasting him on X. The Rock lost himself in his own power bubble, and he's not Dwayne anymore, just an empty brand. His one shot at redemption, the smashing machine. To pull it off, he'll have to bury that larger-than-life persona under layers of prosthetics and truly embody Mark Kerr, a role that demands raw vulnerability and honesty, qualities he's avoided for years. The question is, does he have the guts to ditch the ego, confront his true self, and stop hiding behind the mask he built? Fans are already throwing shade, and it's clear he's hitting rock bottom. In Hollywood's power bubble, where every move is meticulously strategized to stay likable, can audiences still trust the story, or are they just buying the tightly controlled brand of a star who's lost touch with reality? Smash that like, share, and subscribe to follow the full rise and fall of one of Hollywood's biggest icons.